Hello everyone and welcome back to MCFC Connect. Today we're talking about the Premier League and the team of the season for it. Okay, we're 7 games in. I think that's about 70 matches overall in the Premier League if there's 20 teams. And so there's a lot of football to talk about. Now then, admittedly, I haven't watched as much football as I would have liked to. I've even missed some games for City, but I have watched the odd game for other teams, a couple of games for other teams. And so I've watched tons of highlights too. So I'm excited to talk about this because I like making the last one. That one did pretty well. So let's dive straight into this one. Now then, last time in the City one, I kind of skipped over some positions. Like I did striker straight away, I did goalkeeper straight away, a centre back. This time I'm going to give each one a little bit more time. Okay, and so starting with the goalkeeper. Now then, I want to give my flowers to a couple of other goalkeepers before I get straight into it, and that is of course starting with a Man City goalkeeper. That being Donnarumma. Now I do want to say, if Donnarumma had started playing before the international break, I think I would have gone for Donnarumma. Okay, if we had him from game one and he was playing this well, I think I would have gone for Donnarumma. I just think he's been brilliant. He's kept so many goals out for us. He's made brilliant saves. He's already up for a Save of the Month nominee. So, to have him not mentioned, I feel wouldn't be right. But also to have him in just doesn't quite sit right with me either. A couple of other goalkeepers too. Nick Pope, he's got the most clean sheets in the Premier League. And even Petrovic, I believe his name is, at Bournemouth, a goalkeeper that I know a viewer was a big fan of to some level before he left. And he's gone to Bournemouth, done pretty well, 19 saves this season. But I'm going for the goalkeeper that has only conceded 3 goals, and his name is David Raya at Arsenal. I don't really like to give Arsenal players necessarily big ups, but I'm willing to say, Arsenal have been very good this season, and they're bound to have a couple of players here and there. Although what I have tried to do with this, I've tried to differentiate this as much as possible. For me, there are some clear candidates for positions that I can't ignore. And so there are some teams that have more than one in a certain area. Arsenal will be one of those, as you'll see in a minute. But Raya has just been brilliant. 3 goals conceded. I know Arsenal's defence is a big part of that. I know it's a lot more than just Raya, but I do think Raya's been very good from what I watched of him. City scored 1 goal against them, and I know we weren't exactly playing the most attacking football, but that's a third of what Arsenal conceded this season. Now then, we'll jump into the next Arsenal player, actually, that being Jurrien Timber. Everything I've watched of him, he's been great. Everything I've heard is people saying he's been great. He's been very good. I can't exactly bring a City name forward for this. Frimpong's not exactly set the world on fire. I can't really think of other names that have really been super in the Premier League. At right back, if I'm honest with you, no one else really comes to mind. So I am more than willing to have Jurrien Timber in here, because what I've watched from him, he's been very solid here. He's pretty solid against us too, to be fair. Although we did cause him some problems here and there. But yeah, Timber, very good, very, very good fullback, and he's really come to his own this season. But I can confirm it's not going to be an all Arsenal 11. That is the final Arsenal player of this 11, I believe. Oh, no, I lie. There's one more. Now then, on to the next one that isn't an Arsenal player. It is Marc Guéhi at Crystal Palace. A man that could have been a Liverpool player, but all collapsed on the final day, as we know. He's just been very, very good. I think he's got the most duels won or something like that. 75% of them have been won. He's been very, very good for Palace, Yeah, and I think it really does show. By the way, it's credit to him. The whole stuff that went on deadline day, he thought he was going to be wearing a purely red top this season, but he's had to stay, and he's kept his head up, and he's just been balling out as well for Palace. They went 19 games unbeaten before playing Everton, and I've got to say, Gay is a top centre back. You know, I don't think there's many teams in the Premier League that would say no to him. You know, he looks very good, and Liverpool really could have used him too because they are struggling a bit at the back. And yeah, Crystal Palace and the Glasner have just been unreal as well. So it just doesn't quite feel right to not have him in, if I'm honest with you. At least one Palace player in there. Now then, on to the next one. The actual final player for Arsenal, chipping in with goals here and there. You know, I'm sure he's going to get more as the season goes on. He's a very, very good centre-back at the end of the day. He's brilliant. We got 2 6s in this team. He's a very, very good centre-back, Gabriel. You know, he's top. I don't really have too much to say when it comes to him. I haven't watched as much Arsenal as I'd like to, but from what I've watched, he's been very sturdy. You know, pretty quick too. Just you know, he got outpaced by Erling Haaland, to be fair, but 3 goals conceded in the Premier League. He's been a big part of that, and with Saliba injured for a bit of it too, he's probably had to step up a bit. I know that one centre back they've got, I can't remember his name. I think Mosquera has come into the team, but has been very good. But either way, he's had to really command that back line. And yeah, he's the most experienced one in that back line too. You know, left backs like Lewis Skelly and Calafiori, right backs Timber, who's like 23, 24, and same with Saliba. You know, 23, 24 experienced players, but Gabriel's like 27 or 28, so he's got the most experience in that back line. And you know, it's a credit to him doing what he does. And you know, he's clearly got an goal with that head of his. Now then, City fans start to smile because despite me saying Donnarumma doesn't get into this team due to the lack of minutes he's played, I'm going for O'Reilly. Now, what I do want to say is every game he's played, he's completed at least 80 minutes in the Premier League, you know, outside the Premier League too, by the way. He's just been brilliant, okay? If you watch this guy, you know he's top. You know why he's at the England camp this international break. He's been so good, and I'm glad that he's gone to the international camp because it does show how good he's truly been. You know, it shows that, you know, Tuchel's not like a clown for picking him and whatnot. His talents are really getting him reward now. He's an absolutely top player, and without him, man, I don't know what we'd be doing. You know, probably have Ake there, but I don't think Ake quite suits what we want to go for. And a big thing is about O'Reilly too, he's not even a left back. He's a midfielder playing at left back, and he's putting in minimum 7 out of 10s each week he's played for us at the left back area. I think he's got like 2 assists and all comps for us too. Of course, my thinking of Man City players in this, it is kind of including all comps. It's bound to, because I've watched like all of City games apart from the Champions League ones because I can't at the moment, but I've watched the highlights and I've watched as much of them as I could. And he's just involved. He's such a good footballer, O'Reilly. And I think if anyone watched him, I think you'd agree. But I can confirm, I believe O'Reilly's the only one where the minutes thing doesn't quite apply. Couldn't really think of anyone that quite... there wasn't really a standout name for me. So I've gone for O'Reilly because I know he's been absolutely superb. Cucurella's been solid. Calafiori's been solid. But I don't think Calafiori's been as good as like Timber and Gabriel or Raya. So that's why he just misses out. Now then, my midfield, by the way, is going to be a 2 DMs with 1-8. Just to let you know. That's what I'm going for. It's not like the most common midfield, but that's what I'm going for because it just works in my head. And we're going to start with 1. This is the team lowest in the Premier League. Well, not at the bottom, but the lowest in the Premier League in terms of players that will feature in this 11. And it's Elliot Anderson. For me, he's been really, really good for Forest. Again, I haven't watched much Forest football. I've watched 1 game, I believe, and yeah, he's just been really good. And that 1 game I watched, superb. I think he's got like the most passes / touches in the Premier League as well. You know, he's been involved completely. You check out player ratings and whatnot. Again, similar to O'Reilly, really not dropping under a 7. You know, he's been top for them. Involved in most plays from what I've watched too. He's been absolutely top, and I think Forest, you know, they've really got to watch that guy because he's a player that could, if he keeps going the way he's going, But having the season he's having, even if Forest finished down there, this guy's a guy that could easily get himself a move. You know, he's sort of like Cunha last season. He had a brilliant season, and it earned him a move to Man United, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for him. Anderson, he's a very well player that could earn himself a big move in the summer. But, you know, that's as low as down in the table as I'm going. I just think Elliot Anderson really did deserve it. Midfield is quite hard to pick, by the way. You know, I've got no Arsenal players here, no Liverpool players, no City players. So, you know, there you go. I'm going to start with a signing now. I think this is the first signing featured in this 11. And it is Granit Xhaka at Sunderland. All you hear about this guy is like the involvement he's having with like everything Sunderland are doing. You know, they're having a brilliant season. Sunderland just coming up from the Premier League. They're like 10th right now. They're in the mid-table area, and look, for a team that gets promoted, that's huge. You know, like you look at previous seasons, it's typically a relegation fight bare minimum for the team that comes up. There's been rare cases, you know, Brentford are a good case of a team that's come up and has stayed up. But like even like a case with Sheffield United and Leeds, they both had brilliant first seasons and then they've fallen away in the next. And that could be the case with Sunderland. But looking at this, you know, it's been really, really good. And the owners, they put a lot of money into it. And it's paying off so far. And Xhaka has been a huge signing for them. You know, he's been absolutely huge. I think he's got something like 3 assists for them this season. Just very, very good in that team. And on the other end, look, again, you know, a part of me would like to put Rodri in here, but I can't. Yeah, I don't think he's quite played enough minutes. And so I'm putting in Caicedo at Chelsea. Of course, scored that big goal against Liverpool. You know, very good goal. But more than that, I just think it's solid performances. I think he's got 3 goals this season, which is more goal contributions than he got last season in the Premier League already. So, well, no, it's tied. I think he got 2 goals, 1 assist last season. This season, he got 3 goals, no assists so far. So, you know, he's clearly hit another level of his game. And yeah, he's easily up there with the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's up there with Declan Rice. He's up there with Rodri. Caicedo for me. I think Rodri on his A game is better than everyone. I'll make that clear. But I think Caicedo has been very, very good. I think he deserves to be in this team because he's played like almost all the games, I believe, and has just been very, very good in all of them from what I've watched. You know, again, just a player putting in at least like a 7 most weeks. And for me, having that consistency in a player, I think a player that gives you 7 out of 10 every week is such a crucial cog in a team, personally. Just going to have a drink because my throat's a bit dry. And yeah, I feel like Caicedo's got to be in there. Now then, the front 3. The striker for me picks itself. You know, we got some pretty good candidates, like Brentford's Thiago's been very good. Even Newcastle's new man, Voltemad, I think his name is. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's his name, Nick Voltemad. So, you know, big ups to the other strikers who've been doing well. But like 9 goals, 1 assist, I believe, as well. I think he's got in the Premier League. It's crazy numbers, you know. He scored more goals than some Premier League teams. And it just wouldn't feel right to not have Haaland in here, I won't lie. So I've gone for him. You know, he's been a very, very good player so far for us, obviously. You know, his worst start to a Premier League season, 4 games, 5 goals. You know, it speaks for itself. It's incredible numbers, to be honest. And hopefully this guy never leaves my club because, man, I don't know where our goals would come from without him. You know, you see the amount of goals he scored in the last 365 days. I know I'm kind of leaving Premier League a little bit here, but I think he's first with 35 and then Phil Foden second with 17. Phil Foden last season had like a bad season as well, by the way. And, you know, the last year he's had 17 goals, and that's the second most goals any other player scored for us. So it just goes to show how crucial this guy is, and what a monster he is in front of goal too. His finishing is nuts, especially when he's on it. Now then, to play on the right by Haaland, I think I'm going for a Bournemouth man. I'm going for Semenyo. As far as players go who aren't far off Erling Haaland with goal contributions, this guy's up there. I believe he's got like 6 goals, 3 assists. He's been brilliant for Bournemouth, and I'll tell you what, lads, it could be January, but it'll definitely be next summer. This guy keeps going the way he's going. Touch wood, I don't want to jinx this guy, but he could easily get a move. I thought Arsenal would maybe go for him in the summer just gone, but they've gone for Madueke to be that Saka rotation. So I'm not sure where he goes. I won't say no to him. He's a pretty good player. I see him in a Tottenham kit partly. But I love him. I think I would love to see this guy at City. Not sure quite where we'd go. Well, right wing wouldn't be too bad, but we'll see how he does at Bournemouth this season before I fully commit to him being in a City shirt. But he's been brilliant for Bournemouth this season, and he's probably just going to get better, to be honest. The rate he's going, very close to Haaland and GNA, which is saying something. And technically a third Man City player, but it's not. It is Jack Grealish, Premier League Player of the Month in August. And not much more to say on the matter. He's been very, very good, really coming to his own at Everton. And I'm glad for him. Got no reason to not be, because at the end of the day, as harsh as this may sound, this guy does well at Everton this season. Hopefully Everton trigger the buy option of 50 mil, and we get 50 mil for Grealish, and he gets to be happy at a new club. Playing the way he wants to play, clearly. He's gone back to that, Villa level-esque, what he could do there. 5 GNA this season, ended Crystal Palace's unbeaten run. Absolutely brilliant this season, Jack Grealish. So I hope he absolutely keeps it up. I hope he has a great time at Everton. And in terms of other left-wing options, player I feel bad for, by the way, a player that should and very well could have possibly been in it, is easily Mohamed Kudus, also with 5 GNA, 4 goals, 1 assist. Very, very good. It was close between him and Grealish, to be honest, because it was between those, so I could put Semenyo on either wing. So it was either I put Kudus on the right, Semenyo on the left, or Grealish on the left and Semenyo on the right. But I just had it for Jack Grealish because I think he's just been really come into his own at Everton. Lots of players in here that I probably could have had. No Liverpool players in here, which, some people are probably thinking I'm a clown for. But I couldn't fit any in the back line because I don't think Liverpool conceded 9 goals this season. It's 6 more than Arsenal. It's 3 more than us. I think it's 4 more than Tottenham. It's not great. Defensively is their biggest weakness, so maybe Van Dijk gets in here. I couldn't really squeeze him in, though. The midfield, I don't think's quite been gelling as well with Florian Wirtz, so I couldn't really squeeze any in there. Isak hasn't really played enough to start getting as many goals as he can. Salah, again, easily not been in the races. Ekitike is probably the one that could have gone in here, but I've slipped in Grealish just because I think Ekitike can play off the left, but I went for Grealish just because I think he's been very, very good, and I prefer the options of Semenyo, Grealish, and Kudus to Ekitike. Ekitike is probably the only one I would have considered. But look, that is my Premier League team of the season. Call me a clown, call me a genius. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't think I've done too bad. I think there's probably worse out there, but maybe mine is the worst one out there. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm so curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know your team of the season because, I love to hear your guys' opinions too. So make sure to leave those in the comments down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell so you don't miss the next one of these. I'm thinking of a couple more, potentially signings. But any other videos you want to see, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll let you know. Big ups to you all, Blues, and I'll see you all in the next one.